Hello, everybody, and welcome to another adventure in history. I'm your host, Shane McInnes. Very excited to be here tonight. Lots of cool stuff coming down the way on tonight's stream. Hope you're all doing well. The stream is Adventures in History, where we take historical stuff and talk about it in a very comfortable atmosphere where we can make bad jokes and puns and all that great stuff and not have to worry about tests or perfect attendance or doing homework. What's up, KP? And we have hats. So yeah, we're talking about two different groups of people tonight. One, the Nabataeans, who you see here. And after the sort of midpoint break, we will switch over and talk about the Ptolemaic Egyptians. And just to remind everybody a little bit about the format, we are currently working our way through history chronologically. And we are in a phase of episodes that cover events between about 200 BC and about 1 BC. So we are almost to the point where after this phase we will cross over into AD territory, and the years will change and we'll start getting bigger instead of smaller. It's crazy times. We've been at this almost a year and haven't made it to the AD time frame yet. I don't actually know if we'll make it to AD before our 1 year stream anniversary. That's an interesting thing. I'm going to have to look at the scheduling for that. I don't know if it would coincide or anything of that nature. I know that the episode 52 will not coincide with 1 full year because I've taken a little bit of time off here and there. So, again, hope everybody's doing well. How are you, my friends? Let me know. What year was the real Jesus actually born, or was there a single person to nail down as the Jesus? Oh, no pun intended. Well, yeah. So most historians agree that there was an actual person that was Jesus. Most historians don't have a problem with Jesus actually being a real person that existed. If you're asking, there are a variety of opinions on that. Some people say that he was born somewhere as low or as recently as 3 BC, but I'm not a very big proponent of that. Some people say as early as 8 BC. I'm not really a big proponent of that either. I'm of the historical school of thought that puts it somewhere around 5 BC. This has a lot to do with the interpretations of the sort of New Testament scripture stuff from the Christian tradition, as well as comparing that to Roman historical documents, and then just some kind of common sense. Nor am I that late or that early. Where do you stand, KP? Are you a sixer? At one point I thought you were like a sixer or maybe a fiver. I'm a fiver. Yeah, I can't do. Okay, 5 or 6. Hey, Fid, how's it going? And hey, Moose, welcome. Yeah, so probably somewhere in the 5, maybe 4, but I don't think 4. 5 or 6 probably. I'd be comfortable saying 5 or 6. And you go, well, then why isn't that like year 0? You're a 5. Yeah, okay. So we agree on that one. And the answer is that the modern numerical calendar of years was made up by a monk, and he was basically trying to put together every recorded year of history, and in the span of trying to calculate roughly 4,000 years of recorded history, he was off by like 5. So, I mean, give the guy a break. That's still pretty accurate. If I tell you to guess a year between 1 and 4,000, and you get within 5, I mean, that's pretty significant, right? Yeah, so, and most of the time in the ancient world, you didn't have like a running total of years. That's a very, very modern invention. Most of the time in ancient people's lives, it was the year of the king so and so. You know, my dear, you're going to have to redeem the 20,000 one because I think you've already redeemed the 10,000 one. So you might need to refund yourself and do the 10. Have you requested one before? I can't remember. I know I gave you one for your birthday. The Age of Mokto. Hey, Vern, welcome. I could totally do that stream, by the way. Medieval Japan. Yeah, that would be emphasis on art and culture. I could totally do that. So, I don't know if I've been particularly clear about the changes that I have made in. No. Like it, yeah. So let me break this down for everybody. I've made a little bit of changes, and I've spilled this out kind of piecemeal, and that's all on me. I have added another sort of tier redemption. So the 10,000 point one is for the first time you request a stream. And then if you want another stream of whatever, you need to pick the 20,000 one. And I did that on purpose because we've been having a lot of new viewers come through. And while I absolutely love the fact that we've also got long-term viewers that are hanging around, I wanted to make sure that the people that have come sort of in the more recent period of time had a fair shot at getting one, because those particular redemptions don't stay open all the time. Well, I mean, your birthday's not too far away, so we could do that for your birthday if you wanted to. So, not too far. Or you could wait until we got to medieval Japan, which will probably be like 2025, 2026. Assuming I'm still streaming. Yeah, KP, if you'd refund that for me, please, I'd appreciate it. Thanks, man. I was talking with Mac and KP the other day about like how long it would take me to get to something, and we were like, how long would it take us to get to World War I or World War II? It's like between World War I and World War II, it might actually be like a whole year. Trying to do history of the entire world. Oh, man. Yeah. So if you have... I do have plans to get there. I do. It's just way on down the road. And I know that eventually I'll run out of history. So when I run out of history, I'll also have plans for what happens when we catch up to modern day.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
Jay Axer.
I'm Spartacus!
Jay Axer coming in, man. Welcome and thanks. For those of you that do not know, we actually sent Jay Axer a raid the other week.
I'm Spartacus!
No, I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Now everybody's Spartacus. Thank you, Moose, and thank you, Jay. For those of you that do not know, if you weren't here the other day when we raided Jay, Jay is a great artist, has done a lot of work for several pretty big video game companies. Currently does work with Blizzard and Hearthstone kind of stuff. So go definitely give him a follow and check him out. He's a really cool guy. I hung out in the stream the other night. It was quite a delightful experience. And here comes Steve Sketches. Are you not entertained? Is that not why you were here? Steve Sketches rating with a party of 70. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the adventure. Darth Lantern, how's it going? Welcome. All of the Steve swords. Steve, thanks, man. Much appreciated for that humongo raid. It is almost an ultra combo. Where are we going today? We are going to Jordan and Egypt. And because we've had such an explosive beginning, I will even lead with what I promised as the super special reveal. For those of you that saw the Discord notification, I have special artifacts to show tonight. And I feel like we may as well just go ahead and hit people with the artifact right off the bat. I've got a couple. We'll do the... Yeah, why not? I'm in a good mood. We've had a lot of fun, and people are throwing subs around, and we got a 70-person raid. So for those of you that might not know me, hello, my name is Shane McInnes. I teach history at college for a living, but I come here on Twitch and hang out with people because I don't think history has to be boring as crap, and I don't think it has to be like Professor Binns from Harry Potter, where everybody just sort of like goes to sleep or dies or just spends, 4 hours talking about Goblin Wars. The puppy is not from Egypt. Oh yeah. So I travel around a lot. Clearly I haven't traveled very much at all because of COVID. But if this is your first time to the stream, one of our emotes is the adventure hat, which is this dashing piece of artifact stuff here. Which is what I wear when I go out and do archaeological stuff because I'm super pale and I burn in the shade. So when I talk about places that I have been or show pictures of places that I have been or talk about stuff that I have had firsthand experience with, I wear the adventure hat and we fill up our chat with adventure hat emotes. And tonight we're talking about the Nabataeans off the bat, and a lot of people don't really know too much about the Nabataeans, and that's okay because, our history classes don't really teach very much about these people. But very, very briefly, I can kind of give you the little bit of a spill, and I'll show you something pretty fancy here in a second. So they are from this region right in here, which is the modern-day country of Jordan. They also controlled territory that would stretch down into what is today Saudi Arabia, over here into Israel, down into what is Egypt, and all the way up into what is today parts of Syria. So these people, pretty big deal, and they were a pretty big kingdom for about 400 years or so. If you've ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark and know what Petra is, or that really bad Transformers movie where they went and got the magical sock full of dust, that's also Petra. But one of the things that I have to show you tonight in the box O artifacts is actually a coin from the Nabataean world because, I've been places and I've seen things. So this little guy right here is actually a Nabataean coin, and you can't see it because it won't focus the right way. Whoop. Boom, check it out. So this is about 2,000 years old, and it has the face of King Aretas and his lovely wife on it. On the back, we have a nice garland celebrating victory. This is bronze. It would have been fairly close to what we would refer to today as a quarter. Based on ancient divisions of money, you had things like drachmas and all these crazy things. So this would have been what's called a tetradrachm. So yeah, it's you can see how big it is. It weighs probably about an ounce or so. And this is a fairly decent cut. I realize now that because of the focal length distance of my webcam, that I probably should have set up my desk cam for this that points down, so that I could have shown this to you a little bit better. But yeah, so this is bronze foggage. Yeah, sock full of dust. There we go. So that's pretty neat. And we'll show some other stuff later on and show some pictures as we go. But a little bit about the show again. Yeah, we talk about history stuff, and we have fun and we goof off and we talk about pop cultural junk and throw in weird references. Hey, DJ, what's up? Mythic Acrylic. Oh, let me do the streamy stuff. That's I got to do the shout out stuff. Okay, so we've got Steve sketches. I got to do the @
Friends,
Ethan Halowski.
Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him.
All right. So we've got some artists in the room. Steve, thank you so much again for that raid. Yes, I will take a picture of that later and post it on Discord. That is a great idea. That is part of my private collection. I own that. I bought that legally from a legal antique stealer. I have documents of authenticity. It was done all over the counter. I actually did not purchase that directly myself. That was purchased for me by a really good friend who was spending some time in Israel. And I told him some stuff that I would be interested in finding. He went to part of the old city and found that. But I have been to Jordan and to a lot of the stuff. No, there were no... Now tell us how legal your other acquisitions are. 100% legal. I have gone through customs with everything that I possess. Everything that I possess is legal. Now I'm going to have to actually backtrack on that. I've had some stuff that has been given to me. Do I need to shout out Kami Vekt? I don't know. I'm the only one that can do the shout out stuff. I shouted out Jay. Does Kami stream? I mean, I can throw the Kami shout out. There we go. Oh, there we go. Cool. Welcome. Go follow Kami. Are you saying it Kami or Kami? Because I'm seeing Kami like Japan because that's like all up in my brain. But is it Kami? Kami like Street Fighter. There we go. Okay, cool. Sorry, my history brain gets locked in like Japanese and mythological pronunciations, so I apologize. But go follow. You can call me God of Paper. Awesome. Okie dokie. Or here, since I draw for hey, you do you. Everybody's cool here. We have a... Oh, Ethan, were you over in David Peterson's stream the other day? I feel like you were. Sure. Go give some love to a new streamer. I don't know what Ethan does, but he sounds like a cool person, so go check the person out. He likes stuff that I like, so he can't be that bad. I don't know. I can't vouch. But, okay, so we do have a theme here where we try to basically talk about history in the way that I like history to be taught. I went through history classes and didn't really enjoy very much about history itself. Had some pretty negative experiences. So when I teach history and talk history, I always try to do it in a way that people can appreciate. And one of the things that I really emphasize is that when we learn about history, what we're actually learning about is people. Because, I mean, people are human beings, right? Like, so when we became human beings 220-something thousand years ago, we are essentially the same as we are now. We just have different toys and fancier stuff and the internet and, cars and Pokemon cards. But, we're the same people. And I found, everybody gets the fortune cookies, right? And everybody looks at the fortune and goes, ha ha ha, and throws it away. But I kept this one because I liked this one a lot. So this has become the official fortune of the stream. And it says, whoop, focus. Focus. We all have a lot more in common than it seems. There we go. And it came from a fortune cookie, so you know it has to be accurate. Some people are human beings, others are not. The more you get to know, the more... oh. Yeah, so we're all humans, right? And we can do human stuff and talk about human things because, I mean, people are people, right? Doesn't matter when they are. Are the lotto numbers on the back? No. Well, I have lucky numbers, but those are mine. We all have a lot more in common than it seems, except for my lucky lotto winnings, Jay. No, you can't have any of that. If I hit the lotto, your lucky numbers may have more in common. Exactly, right? All right, so we're about to hit the history stuff. Everybody, hey, Capacitor, what's up? Welcome. Everybody, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to throw in goofball comments. Feel free to make bad puns, dad jokes, all that fun stuff. Don't be afraid to bring up tangents. I love tangents, right? I'm not an artist. I don't avoid tangents. I just embrace that junk and just roll for it. Okay, ready to learn some new stuff? Cool, here we go. All right, so first off, who are the Nabataeans? Well, that's a great question. So they were originally Arabian, meaning they came from Arabia, which is this honking guy right down here. And by the way, for those of you that might be new to the channel, this thing that I'm using over here, this guy, is Google Earth. And if you don't have Google Earth already, you should totally go download Google Earth. It's 100% free, and it is friggin' amazing. Love Google Earth. Cannot tell you how much I love Google Earth. So there are a lot of different tribes of people down in Arabia, and going all the way back to like the 5000s or so, you start seeing ethnically separate people that we would probably consider Arabian. Oh yeah, you can absolutely get Google Earth for free. Go download that stuff right now. I love it. The Arabic tribes are going to be a little bit disparate. You have some people that live down here. They're a little bit different culturally. People down here are a little bit different culturally. The people here along the coastline are different than the people of this rough region that are different than the people of the interior. And the Arab people that lived up here are going to be a little bit different as well. And there's a little bit of a regional variety to a lot of these people. And with the Nabataeans, the sort of difference is going to show up usually in the way that they wrote their language. They do have an individual language that is sort of a division / spin-off of Arabic, but they're going to write in the language of Aramaic. If you are familiar with Monty Python, you'll know that the runes carved in the wall that tell the people where to go get the Holy Grail is in Aramaic, and they have to call out Brother Maynard, who's the scholar, to read that stuff, and he dictates that it's in But Aramaic, it's a pretty cool language, pretty old language. It's a Semitic language, and we don't really know when the Nabataeans first showed up if they were speaking Arabic derivative languages and just writing in Aramaic, or if they had picked up the Aramaic and then developed their own language as a response. There's a little bit of fuzziness way back in time. Hey, Kelly, what's up? You always appreciate the Monty Python tie-ins. I love Monty Python. You should know that. But the Nabataeans are going to show up right around the time that we start talking about our world here. Somewhere around the 360s BC, we're going to see the first actual inscriptions that are identifiably Nabataean, and then not too long after that, we're going to start seeing settlement at, and I can't believe I just threw my adventure hat so far away from me, their first really big settlement at a place called Petra. The castle of Og is not in Nabatea. But this is, yeah, you know, I mentioned Petra, so here's me. This is at what we call the treasury tomb inside Petra. And this is where all the cool stuff happens, right? History's greatest movie prop, exactly. So this is where the Holy Grail actually is. If you watch, Indiana Jones, or again, if you watch that really bad, I lost my legs. Lieutenant Dan, you've got no legs. Did I choose poorly? No, this wasn't a picture. I didn't take this picture. This was a picture taken of me by someone else. But it gets me in there, and what's actually inside there. That's actually a tomb. So all of that fancy cool stuff that's inside Petra that most people look at is really just tomb stuff. And if you you're not really supposed to go walk up in there, and they have people watching you not to go walk up in there. But if you go look inside, they're really just a whole bunch of holes that look like graves in the floor. Yeah. So not anything necessarily super duper fancy, but it looks flippin' amazing. And these are the Nabataeans. So you might go, well, I don't know why I'm just going to keep that little adventure hat right here. Yeah, in the floor. So you'd walk up, and when you go inside the door, there's a little bit of a walkway down the middle, and then down the sides of the floor, there are just these big dugout sarcophagi-looking things. New business idea to build those for a modern cemetery. Well, I mean, you still have mausoleums that are being built by super-duper rich people. I personally want a Viking funeral. Put me in a boat, light my butt on fire, and float me out into the ocean. I mean, that's all I really care about. I mean, get all the good stuff that can be recycled out of me and give it to other people first. But, what's left, like this thing, it's probably going to be shot by the time I'm dead. So, For some reason, you were thinking of a bunch of super deep holes. Negative. You can walk in and look right out there. And a lot of them had benches and stuff so that you could even go sit and hang out with the dead folk. Light my butt on fire. There we go. I mean, that's the way to go out, right? Like a Viking. My family history is from Northern Europe, and if you can't tell by my longish head and broad shoulders and massively pale skin, I'm Scandinavian in heritage. Yeah, like Disney's Haunted Mansion. That's it. They based all that stuff on the real stuff. So, what about Nabataean religion? What are we really going to do about their religion? Well, they are polytheistic, as most of the ancient world was. And they had a couple of gods that you might recognize if you're familiar with other gods of the time. Isis was pretty popular. Them being so close to Egypt, you're going to get a little bit of influence on Isis. Oh, crud. A.R. Turkel's here. Autumn is here. For those of you that do not know, you need to go check out Autumn Turkel. Awesome artist, really cool guy. Good person to chat with. Go see the Art Urkel. As Steve just called him. Oh, goodness. Yeah, buddy. So, oh no, man, you're a good guy. So, religiously speaking, you see other gods. They have some influence of some other Semitic gods like Baal, who, if you live in the South or if you've ever been to a Southern Baptist church, you might have heard pronounced Baal. Baal? That's not accurate. There's actually an apostrophe here, and it's Baal. But, okay. ISIS, not the terrorist organization, ISIS. But one of their original sort of personal gods is this god called Dushara. I think we should see other gods. Hey, Techman, what's up? Hopefully there will be a hard light hologram to preserve your personality and gumption, presenting history as a prominent museum. Oh, man, that'd be great. If somebody hologrammed me and put me in a museum, that would be awesome. Do they not talk about Baal in other churches? I mean, maybe some of the satanic churches? I don't know. Perhaps. Or does he come up in conversation more frequently in the South? Oh yeah, totally in the South. If you grew up in a Baptist church, Baal is talked about all the time, and I feel like I can ask KP to confirm that. Okay, so Dushara. And the crazy thing about Dushara is that sometimes you see Dushara as an actual god, but other times you see him depicted sort of like this. And before I flash this up, and I shouldn't probably have said flash this up, before I show you this image, let me assure all of our incredibly mature and highbrow viewers, this is not what you might think it is. So this is what we call a beetle. And you're like, what the devil is a beetle? Well, a beetle is a rectangular prism that people use. It's not that. It's not that. I said highbrow. It's a rectangle. It's supposed to be a column. And no, it's not covering anything. It's just carved into the side of the rock. That's what's weird about it. It's not a marker. It's not a gravestone or anything. It's just a stone, which is why it has its own word. And again, when we switch back over here, I put the adventure hat back on because that's in Petra. The word is beetle. It's a representation of a god. And when you looked at that, you were supposed to go, I know what that thing means. It means Dushara, because, Dushara is a pretty cool guy. Oh, cool. You wouldn't believe what this is. It's a rock. It is. It's an ancient indicator of a lazy artist. Hey, Steph Anomaly, welcome. What did Dushara stand for? The pretty stereotypical stuff that you might think that a head god would stand for. Bringing the rain to make sure that the crops grew the right way. Keeping you safe in the war. That kind of stuff. Early SketchUp art, right? He stood for rocks. Clearly. And there's Cassidy Alsnart. Welcome, Cassidy. How are you? Everybody go follow Cassidy Alston. Who does oil paintings on stream. Recently started her own business selling art. So go give her a check out. It's easier than having to go. Yeah, exactly. You can just go like, done. The thing about these beetles is if you go to Petra, or you basically go anywhere where the Nabataeans lived, you will see those things carved everywhere. I probably have, and I'm not exaggerating here, maybe 100 photos of beetles. Just because I got really tickled at the fact that these things were so omnipresent. And you can just be walking down a road and on the side of this wall is just boop, beetle. And they'll be this big. And some of them will be like, the size of a human being. Beetle, I made it out of stone. Oh my goodness. They did have some shrines, like the one that I showed you, and I'll switch back to it. You can see it actually has a little bit of a riser, and you could go leave basic offerings, typically smaller things, like maybe a little bit of perfume or some flowers or something of that nature. You probably wouldn't do the big sacrifice stuff. They had a whole big giant thing up on the top of one of the mountains of Petra that was the high place, and I could show pictures of all of these things, but we would never really get through anything. You love them now.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
Yep, everybody's Spartacus. Thank you, Hunk. Much appreciated. Folks were shorter back then. Go follow Hunk. Hunk does art stuff on stream. Has recently started doing some tattoo stuff on stream, which is kind of neat. I did not know that they made fake skin to practice tattoo stuff on, but now I do. I'm Brian, and so is my wife. Hey, Joey, welcome. So yeah, that's a little bit about the culture of the Nabataeans. Oh, I have more pictures. Let me show you more pictures from Petra. So that's a beetle. Here is the remainder of one of the temples. This is the Great Temple at Petra. If you actually go to the city part of Petra, there's a whole walkway and there are buildings and temples and things of that nature. So there's a big honkin' Nabataean temple, and you can go walk around in it. This is from a little bit later. This is from the AD period, where there are lots of temples. There were a lot of temples, Jay, and not just at Petra. There are temples all over the place in Jordan. When I was in Jordan in 2015, we went to probably 6 or 7 different Nabataean temples, and they stretched out all the way from. Let me switch back over to my map here. All the way down here from what we call the Gulf of Aqaba. If we zoom in a little bit, right down here, there's a modern city called Aqaba. There is a big honkin' desert right here where they filmed The Martian. If you ever saw The Martian, all of the scenes that were supposed to be Mars were actually filmed in this place called the Wadi Rum, which is right here. Also, if you've seen the trailer for Dune, which I'm very excited about, with Timothée Chalamet, they filmed that. They filmed Arrakis in the Wadi Rum. But there is a big Nabataean temple down there. We went to one that's sort of out this way around the modern-day city of Jerash. They're all over the place. The Nabataeans did temples just like everybody else did. The Baetles are kind of unique, though. You just kind of like do weird stuff. They apparently shot the Apollo moon landings on the moon. Now, if you're talking about a soundstage in Las Vegas, that's different, but, you know, the Baetle must flow. All right. The movie Dune is my chocolatey drink. Nice. Let me show you one more picture about Nabataean culture, and then we will kind of move on with the historical narrative part. This guy is a plate. This particular Nabataean plate is in a museum in the capital city today called Amman. The ancient city name was Philadelphia. And that is a piece of Nabataean flatware. These were very, very beautiful pieces of art. Tekman, Wadi means narrow ravine that water flows through, and it's from Arabic. But that's a great point. It is. A lot of the scenes from Star Wars were filmed on Earth. Indeed. Could you date the Nabataean kingdoms relative to some other historical landmarks? Around this period of time, Rome is building the Colosseum when Petra stuff is getting built. Some of the modern parts of the Great Wall of China are being built. Stuff like that. Oh yeah, this is all between about 200 BC and 1 BC. So, yeah. Oh, no, that's fair. That's fair, Steve. There's no telling what I'm talking about when I get here. Anyway, so when I show you this picture, I show you this picture on purpose because I wanted to show you the pattern here that's on the actual plate. Ooh, that's going forward. So you see the nice little frond and dot pattern here. Do you think they called it the Wall of China when they were doing? Oh, this is actually it's such a great wall. This is the best wall ever. Nobody's ever going to get through it. Those Mongolians, they're stuck. No, they just called it the wall, and a lot of people hated that junk. Your grandmother has a bowl like that, and the book was on the... Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the Nabataeans took over part of Israel. The reason I showed you that plate is so that when I showed you this, you would actually know what I was showing you. So this is a piece of Nabataean flatware that has that same pattern on it. And you can see here that it's called flatware for a reason, because it is very, very thin. And when you see pottery this thin, you have to know that this is super duper fine piece of art. This is what we call glazed artwork. You can see here, if I can get the camera to focus, that the interior part is black, and then the orange part is a glaze that's been put on there. The pattern has been painted on. Would be a lot cooler if it wasn't broken. Of course it would be cooler if it wasn't broken. I would also not have been able to make it out of the country if it wasn't broken. They would have stopped me in the airport and thrown my butt into jail. We are all a little broken. Did many of these make it? They're pretty common. In the shape of the one that I showed you in the picture, not very common, but you can find little pieces of that stuff like all over. Certain silverware might be migrated to being called flatware. Oh, why? Yeah, well, you know. Did I have an incentive to break it? No, I found it that way. I found that piece inside Petra, walking around the back part where the regular tourists don't go, because I do research and I know where the cool stuff is. Well, I mean, you can buy stuff like that from... So the thing about Israel is that Israel actually has a legally run, government overseen antiquities market. So you can buy ancient stuff from shops in Israel. You can go to the old city in Jerusalem and buy super duper ancient stuff. But to do that, the pieces have to be cataloged. They basically have to be rejected from all of the museums. Anything that's discovered in Israel is technically owned by the government. And if you find it, you have to turn it over to them, and they basically record who gave it to them. And if then, they study it and catalog it, and if they don't want it, then they give it back to you and you can sell it. How many plates did you break, Shane? 0. I would have hurt myself had I broken that. If I had found anything even bigger than that, it would have been something that I would have turned over myself. But again, I went through customs with all of this stuff. I am not breaking laws. The people are not going to come get this and put it in a museum. I found a broken plate. Look at this stuff. Where did it come from? Right. So let's talk about the historical narrative a bit. How did I smuggle it out? I put it in my my suitcase, and I told them I had stuff in my suitcase, and then they looked through it and they sent me through. Where did you hide it? I did. It's in my suitcase. I had it wrapped up on the top in a shirt. Are people making pottery this way still? Not likely. The stuff that the people used in the ancient world is not really as sturdy as the modern clay. You still find some people that are preserving the sort of what we might call ancient techniques. And like today, if you go get clay, it's made a lot more homogeneously. It doesn't have as much imperfection in it. I don't know if the actual technique of the Nabataeans has been preserved any. They got wrecked by Rome in the 2nd century AD and brought under Roman control. And Rome pretty much superimposes a lot of its stuff on top of other cultures when it takes over. So if it's a Beetle, how do you think he smuggled it out? Oh, man. Goodness gracious. I try to keep what I say on the stream PG related. Okay, so let's talk about these people. Wikipedia says it was annexed, which sounds like a nice way to spend an afternoon. Yeah, basically what happened is that the Emperor Trajan showed up with a giant honking military and killed the last of the armies and forced them into becoming part of Rome. But, sorry, too much Deadpool. Okay, so somewhere around 300 BC, Nabatea became an independent kingdom. We know that they were fighting with people around the time that Alexander the Great died. One of his generals, a guy named Antigonus, tried to go down and take over these people and was not able to do so. The Ptolemaic empires of the later 200s BC tried to go beat them up and weren't able to. What's up, Cave Geek? Speaking of people that preserve ancient methods, go check out Cave Geek, who does map making on buckskin, painting with traditional pigments, and a bone. Yep. Old stomping grounds. We're talking about the Nabataeans. We just showed pictures from Jordan and all that fun stuff. So we know that somewhere around 168 BC, there was a king named Aretas I. Now, we don't have too much evidence about him. He showed up in documents from other cultures. There was a group of people called the Hasmoneans, who were causing trouble over in the region over here. And some of the people over there had some high priests that got abducted by this king named Aretas I. So we know that there were people around there at that time. But the first guy that really made any sort of, I guess, movements towards what we can say is definitive is a guy named Aretas II. Yeah, I know, word. Go away. Aretas. Not Doritos. Aretas. And this is his coin. I try to show pictures of all the people that I talk about if I talk about them in any substantial way. This is not something that I have. This is something I found on the internet. So here we have a good old-fashioned coin with the sort of warrior motif over here. We've got the good old-fashioned angel on the other side. Coin, this is bronze. What you're looking at here is weathering and patina. Doritos was his popular cousin. Including the version of Doritos from the winter, which was Cool Ranch Doritos. Yeah, there we go, the Cool Ranch cousin. Jay beat me to it. Alas. At least we have the same weird... Oh yeah, we're totally there. Oh yeah, the bad jokes will happen. It is fortuitous that you ask for the puppy because the puppy just wandered in. Oh, let's talk to the puppy. Come and see me. Oh, you've got to stretch first? Come on. Come here. Oh, yes. This is the puppy. This is Kaylee. Hello, Kaylee puppy. Oh, puppy sugar. Hello. 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 Hello, puppy sugar. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So much puppy sugar. Your breath smells so bad. We got to brush your teeth. Yes, we have to brush your teeth. You stink. You stink. Oh my goodness, so many sugars. Ugh, ugh. All right, Steve, thanks, man, for the raid. Much appreciated. Hope you have a good one, man. Hope dinner is amazing. When will Choose Your Own Adventure be in stock again? It should be in stock now. The puppy's name is Kaylee. Kaylee, like Kaylee Fry from the Firefly ship Serenity. So, the mechanic. That's my wife's favorite character from the show. Oh, yes, Kaylee. No need for a blankie sweater today. Oh, yeah, it's hot down here, Techman. It's already effectively trying to become summer. Okey-doke. So, Aretus, we know him. It says out of stock. That's weird. I don't know how to make that come back in stock. Oh, I think it's because my wife tried to redeem it earlier in the stream, and then we had to refund her. But I thought that it should have, at that point, restarted. Random history fact. About anything or just about anything? Imagine the map would have been a lot greener back then. It would have, yes. Random history fact. The King Aretus II here got into a really big fight with a Hasmonean leader named Alexander Jannaeus. And they were fighting over a region of territory that was on the the Dead Sea, because Alexander Jannaeus had just built a big capital palace thing there. So there's a random history fact for you. That's what I'm talking about right now. You'll take anything for something spooky. Okay. Something spooky. Random history fact about something spooky. Some of the Semitic people that were in this region had a particular god named Molech. And it looks like this. Molech. And Molech was a pretty wicked god, and one of the things that you did to make Molech happy was sacrifice babies to him. And you would usually make big statues of this god out of a metal, and then heat the metal up, and then toss the babies in the statue. So there's a peripheral spooky thing. There we go. Yep. Why babies specifically? Because that's about the most special thing that you can give. You're basically sacrificing the next generation to make the gods happy. You're going to run out of worshipers that way. Little known fact, the term baby shower comes from these sacrificial rites. Oh, that's horrible. And in that note, it's time for dinner. Sorry. So did Deshara followers do anything outside of gifts? No, nothing that dark. You would get some sacrifices, but animal sacrifices, not baby sacrifices. You're not going to baby sacrifice to this guy. All right. Let's talk about Obotus. Obotus the First, and he rules from 96 to 85. So by the time we get to Obotus, I know you think that this is wrong, but I'm telling you it's correct. I was just about to say the metal I have playing in the background doesn't seem to fit the stream. Oh boy, were you wrong. So by the time we get to Obotus, the timeline for the Hasmoneans, I'm sorry, not the Hasmoneans, the Nabataeans is getting really pretty defined. And we know a lot more about the people at that time. We know a lot more about the kings. And speaking of Obotus, there we go. There he is. Look at that handsome face. Let's talk about you and me. Let's sacrifice a baby. Ooh, that's horrible. Yeah, we didn't talk about any of this stuff in history class. This is not your high school history class right here. So this is Obotus. Nice coin here. Good old-fashioned eagle on the background. Oh, yeah. So, Obotus. Cool guy. He does a lot of cool stuff. First off, he finally beats those pesky Hasmoneans. There's a Jewish kingdom that's just across the Jordan River over here in Israel that had been encroaching upon Nabataean territory. And this is the guy that finally runs them out. Also, he beats up a really big empire at the time called the Seleucid Empire, which had at one time controlled... Well, I got to zoom out again. The Seleucids at one time had controlled all of this. Now, the time that Obotus is fighting them, they only really controlled all of this. But they were still bigger than the Nabataeans. So fighting off the Seleucids and winning is still props to Obotus. That's a funky coin? Yeah. Ooh, hunk. Bad taste. Honestly, would have been more interested in his high school history. Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, if people would just teach history like it was a real thing instead of... Obotus the First was the king of the Nabataean Empire from 96 to 85. Ain't nobody want to listen to that. I don't want to do that. That's annoying just to even do the voice. So, Obotus puts Nabataea on the map. He beats up the bad guys. He expands the control of the empire. And things are going to get better after that. Because now we get to Aretas the Third, who rules from 87 to 62. This guy's going to be the cat's pajamas. He's the big guy. That's so good. I mean, you can make jokes whatever you want to. I'm just not going to read that one on stream. Read chapter 3 and answer the questions at the end. Fall asleep, forget history forever. Hate history, play football. Not that, I mean, I played football. You don't have to, I'm not hating on football. But a lot of the teachers that I had that taught me history were football coaches. So, this guy is Aretas the Third. Play football. Yeah. I made my football coach so mad because I quit playing football and started playing soccer. Oh, dude. You'd have thought that I, sacrificed a baby to Molech. So, Aretas the Third. This guy's going to do a lot of stuff, and he really is pretty important. You love that they each have a coin? Oh, absolutely. That was the way that you made yourself known as king, right? You put your face on a coin and you distributed that around, and everybody's like, oh, look, we have a new king. Yeah, you got to call back the baby stuff. I mean, why not? So Aretas is going to set out on expansion, and he takes a whole bunch of territory from the Hasmonean dynasty. He's actually going to invade the Seleucid Empire, which was a big move for this guy, and he takes one of their big cities, Damascus. Yes, that Damascus, that's still the capital of Syria today, was at one time in the hands of the Nabataeans. He's going to get in a big fight with a group of people called the Armenians, who had begun expanding out of the region here in what is modern-day Turkey. And the sphere of the Nabataean influence is going to be all the way up here to basically the butt end of Mesopotamia. These guys are getting pretty big at this point. Like checkpointing. Yeah, absolutely. And that's another way that we know a lot about how long they ruled, because we look at how many different imprints of coins they made, and we can do a lot of dating on the study of coins, which is called numismatics, which I think is super fascinating, but a lot of people think is like boring as junk. So I'm a weird dude, and I love this stuff, though. So, I mean, I've read books on numismatics before, and even my history professor in college was like, no, why are you reading that? Aretas, though, is going to get big enough that he runs into a new player. New player has entered the game, and that new player was Rome. And because of some dealings with who was running the Hasmonean dynasty, Aretas had sort of propped up one of these Hasmonean leaders after he had beaten them up. And Rome was trying to prop up another Hasmonean leader, and that's going to put Rome in conflict with the Nabataeans. And the Romans are going to invade under a general named Scaurus. And you go like, that's a horrible name, and it kind of is. Scaurus is going to invade Nabatea, and Aretas is going to sort of do this thing where he's like, we've got a giant desert that we can fall back to. Why don't we just fall back to the desert? They'll never be able to come get us. So they do. And Scaurus, for a while, puts them under a big siege, and eventually realizes that he's not going to get in there to get these guys. So basically, he agrees to sort of withdraw, and but he's going to say, we won we beat you. We took all of this land from you. And Aretas is like, dude, you literally took empty desert. So if you really want it, I mean, you can kind of have it, but I mean, what are you going to get? It's literally empty desert. And Scaurus is like, we will return this land for you, and we will make you our friend if you agree to be our friend. And Aretas is like, so you're going to give me empty desert that I already control that you can't hold, and you're going to make preferential trade deals with me. I'll take it. So at that point, Scaurus goes away, and Aretas is like, I'm a friend of Rome now. And you kind of wanted to be Rome's friend because that dude was expanding and they were beating the junk out of everybody. So do they do what we do now, which is still circulate the old money alongside the new money until it phases out? Yes. The thing about old money, though, is that the more that it's used, the less weight that it holds. And because the coins back then were literally worth their weight in whatever particular metal they were made out of, there was only a certain amount of time that you could circulate the coin. And at that point, once it had been worn, you know, people are moving it in and out of purses and handling it and changing it around, and it's been dropped. And once it got to the point where it was sort of not worth its weight, it would get sort of brought back to the mint, melted down, and then reminted into a new coin that would be of the proper weight. So the coins that we have today are usually ones that were dropped and not found, ones that were found in hoards. It turned out that ancient people hoarded money in their homes. They would very frequently have a pot that they would put coins in and bury the pot, and then, you know, something would happen and nobody would know that there was a pot of money buried there until 2,000 years later, where some British guy was like, oh, I found a pot. You know, so we're all a little weird here. Dude, Rome is overpowered. Yeah, they're super OP. They're broken. They need to get nerfed. You have a book about all this stuff? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about numismatics. This is the best deal of all time. That's a way to make friends? Yep. Land war in Eurasia? Yep. Did they also shave pieces off? Yes, they did. That was another way to make money. If you wanted to make a good deal, you could, you know, shave some of your coins off, which is one of the reasons why they started putting dots around the edges so that you couldn't do that stuff. Zelda was accurate. Break all the pots. Yes, exactly. But the pots would be buried, so they usually would not be sitting out in plain view. And if you came into my house and started swinging a sword around and broke all of my stuff, you would not walk out with all of your hearts. Let me just tell you that. Mississippi is a stand your ground law state. And if somebody came in my house swinging around a sword, I would come after them with a didgeridoo. And you go, certainly you don't have a didgeridoo, but I would remind you that we talked about Australia last week, and yes, I do have a didgeridoo, and it's right here, so, you know. Aggressive Zelda threat. I love how my eyeball. Exactly. What happens to Aretus? Well, he gets old and dies. That's what happens. And we get a new king. And his name is Malachus. And he rules from 59 to 30. Boop-a-da-doo. Never question if Shane has something strange in his house. Right? This is a coin of Malachus. Pretty powerful king. The relationship with Rome had soured a bit by the time Malachus came to the throne. This guy is going to be a little bit upset with how much Rome had decided to kind of move into the name, or move into the region. Yeah, powerful name, indeed. Malachus. It sounds almost like a bad guy. Next Hearthstone card, Jay. There we go. Malachus. It betrays you and allies with Parthia. So I don't know who Parthia is in the Hearthstone universe, but if you're playing a Roman deck, this guy betrays you and goes to ally with Parthia, your worst enemy. Yeah. So by this period of time, Nabataea was pretty powerful and had started rubbing shoulders with some wrong people. So Rome was trying to take them over, and they didn't like that very much. And there was a Roman guy running around at this point named Mark Antony, who you may have heard of. He was in love with this woman named Cleopatra, who we'll talk about a little bit later. And Antony decided that he was just going to give away Nabataea. Like, I possess Nabataea. And Malachus is like, oh, heck no, you don't. And he's like, I will give it to my wife as a gift. And Malachus is like, no, you're not. And Antony's like, yes, I will. And Malachus is like, forget you. Hey, Parthia, do you want to kill some Romans? And Parthia is like, we would love to kill Romans. That's one of our favorite things to do. And Antony had to go away. He also died pretty soon after that. So, it's just what happens. You make fun of Caesar, and then you make fun of Augustus, and Augustus hunts you down and you die. Killing Romans, you say? Indeed. All right, so that is a very, very brief rundown of some Nabataean kings. And if you hang around for later episodes, we will pick back up with our Nabataean story from a little bit of a different perspective. But we do need to change gears and shift over to our second topic for the night, which is the Ptolemaic Empire. Woo! He should have gone to Jared's. Yep. Homeboy had a bad gift idea, indeed. What did the Romans ever do for us? Yes, right. Aside from aqueducts and education and sanitation and peace and transportation and roads. I got that one. I'm a Life of Brian fan too. All right. So where we last spoke about the Ptolemaic Empire, it was all the way back in last phase. And it's been probably a couple of months since we've talked about the Ptolemaic Egyptians. Hey, Tuna, what's up? Let's give the Tuna the shout out. If you ever want to watch some gaming streams, go check out the Big Tuna. Plays some Fortnite every now... Not Fortnite. Overwatch. Goodness, that's a different game, duh. Play some Overwatch every now and then. Play some other games. Go check out the streams. So, very briefly, Alexander the Great conquered everything, right? And his generals fought over it. And the guy that took over Egypt down here was the guy named Ptolemy. And Ptolemy was going to name basically all of his children Ptolemy. And everybody that rules is more or less named Ptolemy. And by the time that we're talking about here in the 200s BC, we're on Ptolemy the Fourth. Ptolemy. Ptolemy. Spell the word right. Fourth. And I'm going to start giving you the nicknames. because all of these guys being named Ptolemy is going to get kind of hard to remember. So I'm going to refer to them by their nicknames. His nickname is Philopater, which is Greek for father lover. Not that way. You mostly stream art occasionally? Oh, well, there we go. I just caught you on a gaming day. Alas. Go follow him anyway. He's a cool guy. So, yeah, by the time we get to... And his son's name is Bob. All right, Joey, take it easy. Have a good one. Nice to see you around. Hope everything's well in your world. So, Ptolemy the Fourth looks like this. And you go, okay, yeah, okay. And you go, why does he have holes in his face? And the answer here is that he might have had a beard attachment, and the holes are where the beard attached. We're not sure. It's just a sculpture, though. Don't get too deep into the whole phrasing. It's just Ptolemy the Fourth. Philopater. So what's up with Philopater? Well, the thing is, when Philopater takes over, things ain't going so great for the old Ptolemaic Empire. There's some pretty big problems at home. There's some problems abroad. They had a lot of big fights with this Seleucid Empire that I just referenced. They had just fought the Fourth War over the control of Syria, which is this region right over here. The Ptolemaics thought that they should control that. The Seleucids had that. They fought over it a total of 7 times. He's holy. He's called Philopater because he wanted to position himself as a continuer of his father's policies. Ptolemy III was one of the most successful Ptolemaic emperors of the entire run of things, and had done a lot to really solidify the hold of the Greek people over the native Egyptians. And Ptolemy IV wanted to sort of follow in his dad's footsteps, so he's like, I love my father! Father! I don't know if anybody gets the IT Crowd reference. I love IT Crowd. It's a good show. But anyway, so yeah, Philopater, loving his dad. It's kind of nice. It is. So when they had gone off to fight this big war with the Seleucids over Syria, Philopater had run into some trouble, and the majority of the troops that he used were Greeks, because he was a Greek. Ptolemy, episode 4, New Hope. Episode 5. Yeah, really. It gets so much crazier than that. And the joke title for the stream will come into play in just a moment. So if we look at the situation, Ptolemy is a Greek. He's descended from a royal Greek family. He's ruling in Egypt, which is decidedly not Greek. And the Ptolemies had maintained their control by bringing in Greek mercenaries or Greeks to fight for their wars. But in this big war, the Fourth Syrian War with the Seleucids, they had to resort to using Egyptian troops. They had run out of Greeks that they could swing around. But that meant that they had to arm the native people. And if you are a different ruling crust, so the Greeks are by far the ethnic minority in Egypt. And then you have to rely on the native people and give them weapons and armor to help you out in the war. They're going to expect something out of that. They're going to expect more, play at the table. And that's going to show up really evidently when this guy decides to rebel. And I know this is going to sound horrible, but the guy's name is Horwanefer. I know that looks absolutely crazy. This is going to end great. You can just tell. Well, Cammy, it's going to end so horribly. I can't even tell you. Oof, these names. Horwanefer. This was a native Egyptian. He's from Upper Egypt, which was down here. And you go, what do you mean Upper Egypt is down? We have to remember that the Nile flows from south to north. So Upper Egypt is down here and Lower Egypt is up here. That's it, your history. Yeah, it's disappointing that they named them something that ends with effer. Right? Well, this has actually got a couple of different gods' names in it, but so we have a way to go before we get to the sex pot of the Nile Cleopatra. She is at the tail end of tonight's stream. We will get to that Cleopatra, and that's actually Cleopatra the 8th. We've got 7 more to talk about. It's not going to take as long as it might sound. So Horwennefer rebels, and he's a native Egyptian. These were the people that had sort of had enough of the Ptolemies. The people that were down the lower capital of Thebes were not so big on the Greeks in the first place. They were still much more Egyptian. So Upper Egypt is going to rebel, and Philopater is going to be stuck, not really knowing how to handle that. He's also got an invasion. So on the other side of them is a big kingdom called Meroe. And these are the people that live in what is modern-day Sudan. They were Kushites. Kushite has nothing to do with marijuana. And the Meroe king, a guy named Arkamani, is going to invade down in the south as well. So he's got the territory that he controls, and then he's got a rebellion territory, and then he's got territory that an outside force has invaded. Things are not going so great for old Philopater. So he's also got problems inside the actual palace. And here's the thing. The thing about the Ptolemies is that they really liked marrying their own family, which is all in the family. Yeah, get the pun. It's not just a pop cultural reference. It's a pun. Yeah. So Philopater was married to his sister. His sister's name was Arsinoe. And that relationship was a bit strained. He said the title, guys. Steph Anomaly always makes sure he said the title. This family tree straight up, no branches. I've actually got a picture of their family tree at the end because it's the only way that I could hope to make sense of this for you all. So Philopater is going to try to divorce his wife. Some people say that he killed his wife. Anyway, that goes sideways. The relationship goes bad as any sibling / marital relationship might. So it's just the one tree hugging itself. It's more like a family bush. It's kind of just like a long rectangular flat thing that spreads out a little bit. A family shrub. A shrubbery. Yeah, there we go. I had to bring that back in. Yeah. So when his wife gets killed / dies, it turns out that there were a lot of people in the capital city of Alexandria that really liked her. And Philopater was going to be at the brunt end of a cultural backlash. And the people inside of Alexandria kind of stormed the palace and set the palace on fire. And Philopater dies in a fire. So I know people use that now as an insult, like, go die in a fire. But people were like, you killed Arsinoe? Go die in a fire. And then they made that happen. Yeah. Fire is good for palaces. I mean, as a heater, not as a cleanser. So the guy that we get to take over is another guy named Ptolemy. It's super effective, right? Ptolemy. And I'll just keep this up, and I'll just change the Roman numeral. Ptolemy V's nickname is Epiphanes, which means miraculously born, or manifest of greatness. This is a pretty high opinion of himself. So he's an idea man. Well, he's a something. He's a kid, actually. He's 6 years old. And here he is as a child on a he's king. He's on a coin. Did he earn this nickname or assign it to himself? This is most likely something that his family called him. Because here's the crazy thing about it. When he's taking over the throne, again, he's 6, right? So home dude's not really ruling by himself. And you go, well, then who is actually ruling the empire? And the answer is his dad's mistress and his dad's mistress's brother. And they're sort of the power behind the throne. And that was shady enough. And it's pretty clear pretty quick that the people of Alexandria don't like these regents very much. And they're going to overthrow the regents in 203 BC. And at that point, basically the generals of the army kind of take over the country. And at that point, all of the bad guys in the world are like, hey, we should totally go invade Egypt right now because they're having some problems. And so the Seleucid Empire and the Macedonians invade. And this is a pretty big deal because now he's got an invasion in the south of Meroe, and he's got rebels in the south with Horwanefer, and now he's got an invasion of Macedonians and Seleucids going on at the same time, and he's 8. Yeah, things aren't going so great in the old Egypt world. Did they join together, or did they happen to fight each other right on top of this? So the Macedonians and the Seleucids had actually teamed up. The guy ruling Macedon at this time is a guy named Philip V. The guy ruling the Seleucids at this time is a guy named Antiochus III, or Antiochus the Great. And they had very directly planned on doing this stuff. They had gone into cahoots and invaded together. Yeah. Cool. It's bad enough to have enemies that might, spontaneously run into each other, but it's even worse when they're coordinating. So the generals are going to realize that they have to do something pretty quick. And the generals that are leading the army have a lot more affinity with the sort of local Egyptians, especially since the local Egyptians had been brought into the military. And they think that the best thing to do would be go to the south, put down the rebellion of Horwanefer, and try to calm that situation down. So they march down there, and they take the capital city of Thebes. So Egypt had 2 capitals, and then the Greeks had a capital. So the 2 capitals of the capital of Upper Egypt was a city called Thebes. The capital of Lower Egypt was a city called Memphis, and then the Greeks ruled from Alexandria. So there are technically 3 big cities that sort of have political power in Egypt at this time. So they took Thebes back from the rebels, but the rebels then decided, we're going to go run and team up with Meroe because they hate the Greeks too. So now you have a combined force of rebels and invaders in the south, and you have a combined force of invaders in the north. Still not looking so great, but they do swell their ranks. They bring the southern part of the country back in order. They put everything kind of back together. And our stream paused for a second, and you thought you were going to miss the result and got so mad. Oh no, did I drop frames? Oh, I did drop a few frames. I'm sorry. It looks like it's okay now, though. Okay, cool. Fine now. Awesome. Oh, you think it was you? Well, I can't apologize for that. So at this point, the generals really feel like the way to bring Egypt together is for everybody to get behind this kid. Like, if we could just get behind this kid and put this kid, like, really going there, like, whoo, he's a good kid. At this point, he's like, maybe 13. So still very much a kid, and he's got, like, cracking voice and, acne at this point. But we're going to make this guy a king. And we're really going to get behind him. So they stage this big coronation where they basically take him to Memphis, and they do the whole pharaoh thing where they crown him pharaoh and they coronate him king. And they really put a big show into, we think this guy is going to be the new guy. Is he trying to rule, or they're just puppeting him around? He's puppeting mostly. He's probably trying to rule, but as a 13-year-old, he probably doesn't understand enough to actually get anything done. Are we talking about the time when Egypt was still split between the New Kingdom and Old Kingdom? Oh, no, Zero. We are currently talking about a period. So the guy that we're talking about, Epiphanes, he rules from 204 BC to about 180 BC. So the Egyptian world had not been split into two independent kingdoms since what we call the pre-dynastic period. That's way back when the first guy named Menes sort of united the kingdoms. But that's way back around like the 3000 BC mark. So we're pretty far advanced past that. He's just thinking about Minecraft the whole time. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But something really cool comes out of this big coronation ceremony. They're going to really push this idea that Ptolemy V is a modern ruler, but he has ties to the past. He's going to be a pharaoh like the Egyptians wanted. He's also going to be a king like the Greeks wanted, but he's a guy that stretches through time. So they have this big inscription commissioned. And in this inscription, they write down all of this cool stuff about him, and they write it in hieroglyphics, and then they write it in early Demotic, and then they write it in the period Demotic, and they write all this stuff together, and they write it on a big rock, and it looks like this, and you go, but wait a second, that's the Rosetta Stone. And you're correct. That is the Rosetta Stone. And if we look at the surface here of the Rosetta Stone, you can see that it's written in 3 different languages. And we have the old school Egyptian hieroglyphics, and then we have the early Demotic stuff, which is kind of simplified. And then at the bottom, we have the good old-fashioned Greek. Because, guess what? He's a Greek dude, so this is what... This is not the software I paid for. So, in a weird way, a Rosetta Stone, 3 easy payments of $29.95, right? So, in a really weird way, this 13-year-old kid who's being propped up by a bunch of generals trying to save their kingdom is what ends up being the thing that manages to help modern linguistic translators finally crack ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. That's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I know. That is pretty cool stuff. This is the history that I love. Like, what's on the Rosetta Stone? It's just a big black rock. Well, it's got a story behind it, and it has a reason and a purpose. Yup. So here's the thing. The Rosetta Stone, it was nice. Did he do anything? Well, here's the thing about it. You didn't pay for high school and you feel ripped off. Oh, man. Well, now you can come here and you don't have to pay for this and you can get the rest of the story. Right? So the war with the Seleucids wasn't going so great. The generals, even after they had sort of propped up Epiphanes here, weren't really getting very far. So they had to make peace with the Seleucids. And this is going to be some weird stuff happen right here, and it gets kind of messy. So to make peace with the Seleucids, Ptolemy V is going to marry the emperor of the Seleucids' daughter. This is Antiochus III. And he's going to marry this woman named Cleopatra. And you go, wait, wasn't Cleopatra an Egyptian? Well, the name Cleopatra was not originally Egyptian. It was originally, just a name that Greek people had. But this is the first ruling Cleopatra, and she wasn't even from the Greek version of Egyptians. Could the Rosetta Stone the alien? I don't know what that means, Ethan. You're going to have to clarify that for me, man. No, ancient aliens that I don't have a problem with aliens existing, but I also think that ancient aliens is super insulting to the ancient people. They did all of this stuff. We know how they did all of this stuff. People that want to find aliens are looking for mystery in a world that they find boring. And if they would just study the actual history, they would find that it wasn't aliens at all. And the real truth is actually way more fascinating than anything a guy with really big hair on the History Channel tells you. Dang girl, you ain't even the Greek version of Egyptians, right? Right? So this causes a bit of a stir because the people that were Greek in Egypt are like, didn't you just say he was supposed to be like good old Egyptian Greek? And the Egyptians are like, didn't you say he's supposed to be good old Egyptian? And the generals are like, dude, we had to save the kingdom. Just let him marry this weird woman from foreign country. Just let it happen. And this is not so fun. And it turns out that, well, Epiphanes gets poisoned. Yep, old Epiphanes, he gets poisoned and dies in a pretty horrible way. And you go, okay, well, who's going to take over? Well, Ptolemy the Sixth takes over, but as you might expect, he's a kid. He's like 7 years old. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's not his sister. He was supposed to marry his sister. When he was 8, that's miserable, right? So, Ptolemy the Seventh. I'm sorry, this is Ptolemy the Sixth, not the Seventh. I can show you. Let me show you his picture. Images. Boom. Here we go. Ptolemy the Sixth, Philometer. And you go, wait a second. That's not Potter. That's not lover of his father. That's lover of his mother. Bum, bada, bum. Yeah, because here's the crazy thing about it. When old Epiphanes dies from being poisoned, his mother, Cleopatra, that foreign woman, becomes regent. That's an incest nose. Well, you're not too far from the truth, Tuna. You are not too far from the truth. So Cleopatra is going to take over as a regent. But remember, she's not Egyptian, and she's... Bum ba dum 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 dum. Sato Venom, thank you so much for the follow, and welcome to the adventure. And for those of you that might be counting, that is follower 433. We are currently running a follower goal. When we get 500 followers, I will do another installment of what I have learned is a very much beloved series that I'm doing where I teach history, but instead of like real history, dun 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 dun. Cammy, thank you for the follow and welcome to the adventure. And that brings us up to 434. So if you like Lord of the Rings and if you like the stuff in Lord of the Rings, you would like History of Middle-earth because I teach Middle-earth history just like I'm teaching this, but it's about Middle-earth. And we've done 3 installments of that so far. If that perked your interest and if you feel like, oh man, I really want to watch that, they are all saved in VODs on my channel. You can go back and watch them. History of Middle-earth 1, 2, and 3. Fun stuff. You've been here the whole time. It's all good. No worries. You'll hold 433 dear to your heart. My dear Venom, much appreciated. I would say I would hold Venom close to my heart, but I would end up dying like Epiphanes did. So Philometer, you might reckon that he gets his nickname because he loved his mom, who probably told him your name is Philometer, and we're going to call you that from now on. Because, you know, you're going to love your mother, and I'm going to run the country while you're a child, right? What's on my shirt? My shirt is a Mouse Guard t-shirt. This is the David Peterson Black Axe Mouse Guard t-shirt. And we have... this is Luthabon, the king of the island that they go to, and this is Kellenall with the Black Axe. And M of Appleloft. Wait, is that M? Or is that... No, I'm looking at it backwards. This is M. And this is Conrad. So, yeah, Mouse Guard. I love Mouse Guard. If you don't know Mouse Guard, you should go check out David Peterson. well, I mean, you can check him out. He's a handsome guy, but check out his artwork. He's a really cool guy. Author, illustrator of Mouse Guard comic book, and a good friend. Is this another sort of ruler hiding behind an emblem that doesn't represent them? Yes, pretty much. Just like the era of when women novel writers took ambiguous men pen names. Yes. You're hunting for an Easter egg. No shirt-based Easter egg today. I think there was coin or artwork that did... they always sort of sneaked themselves into places. Usually the way that they would do it is they would put two faces on a coin, and they would put like the child's face in front, but then the mom's face in the back or something like that. Mother lover. No, not that way. They're only currently incestuously relating with their sisters and or nieces, but it's not even really bad yet. We're getting to the bad part. David's cool stuff. I know I can shout him out. Let me give him a shout out. No, Kimmy, we're not even to the bad part yet. We're to the moderate part. Yeah, it gets worse. So Ptolemy the Sixth here, Philometor, is going to get told by his mother, Cleopatra, that he's going to marry his sister. So he marries Cleopatra II. So Philometor is, at this point, probably about 12 and marries his younger sister, Cleopatra II. Yeah. He gets told to marry his sister. Was there a specific reason? Yeah, because there were a lot of factions inside of Egypt fighting over who gets to be the regent. Because a woman regent wasn't as powerful as a man regent, and the generals who had sort of propped up Epiphanes still wanted to run the show. But they weren't going to be able to if Cleopatra I was still running the power behind the throne. And if Philometor married anybody else that was like a noble, that would be bringing another family into power. But if she married her son to her daughter, it's all in the family. Yep. There we go. So this is going to set off a pretty big internal struggle, because when this happens, it actually turns out that there's another Ptolemy out there. And this is Ptolemy the Seventh. And his name is Naos Philopater. I'm going to have to... Yeah, let me shrink this down a little bit. We're going to need to... Bum-ba-dum! Dun, 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 dun. Chris Gree, thank you so much for that follow, and welcome to the adventure 435. All in the Family was on... No, not that... Well, I mean, All in the Family was a TV show. That's the reference. But then this... There we go. Yeah. Cue finger guns. Pew, 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 right? Okay, so here's the thing. Cleopatra the First, this non-Egyptian Greek woman, is running the throne behind her son Philometor and her daughter Cleopatra II. But there's another son named Ptolemy the Seventh, Naos Philopater, and you go, wait, what does that mean? This means the new father lover. And you're like, oh gosh, why are they naming their kids so many dumb things?
Romans,
Countrymen, lend me your ears.
come to bury Caesar, not to praise him.
Cammy, thank you so much for the host. And Ethan, I said thank you for the host, I think, but if I didn't, thank you for the host as well. They should have all learned from the Yakuza. Families are not necessarily by blood and can go up in ranks, right? So here's the thing. There is a contesting of power where the Egyptian faction that wanted to retain the power that they had built under the last Ptolemy, Epiphanes, wants to retain power with a new Ptolemy, Naos Philopater. So they want to call him the new father lover, because his father was Epiphanes, the guy that they had built up. So you see what we're going around here. We have factions. On one side, we have Cleopatra, and on the other side, we have all of the Egyptians. And this is going to get really nasty because in the middle of this, guess who shows back up? That's right, the Seleucids are going to invade again. And, oh, I didn't show you Philopater. Or Naos Philopater. Dun 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 dun. Here we go. It's this guy. Naos Philopater, the new father lover. Now that is an incest chin. If there is such a thing. Right? Anyway, so there are potentially two rulers. These Pokemon are getting out of control, right? Have I seen 107 or did I collect 107? I don't know. Hey, Vegeta. It's a Pokemon. I don't know who's seen DBZ abridged. Oh, there is such a thing as incest chin. Tuna knows. Tuna has the inside scoop on incest chin. Anyway, Antiochus IV invades, and it is messy because now we have two potential rulers. We have an invading force, and in the middle of all of this stuff, guess who also gets involved? And if you're going to guess Rome, guess what? You guessed correctly, because Rome has now reached to the point where they're basically getting involved in everybody's stuff. Because, you know, Rome. And Rome really likes the idea of putting Naos Philopater on, because to them, it was better to pick the person that wasn't related to the Seleucids, because Rome hates the Seleucids. So Rome tries to get Naos Philopater on the throne, but it doesn't work, and he ends up dead. Yep, old dead. Yep, dead. So around this time, Philometor is going to kind of win out. His mother ends up dying, and Philometor and Cleopatra II are going to have sort of uncontested rule for a little while. All of these people die. All wars lead to Rome, pretty much. Just do a Google image search for incest chin. Side subject about the names in history to talk about. The era in Japan when folks just had single names and not family names. Right. Yeah. Everything's crazy. Make sure to include chin. Yeah, because the internet's a crazy place now. Still sounds dangerous. So what is the general public doing during all of this? Just trying to wait it out and amid warring the death? Well, they're fighting in the wars, because when it's time to go to war and these sides actually go to blows, the common people are the one that get drafted in doing all of the fighting. So when you've got bad guys that are invading, it's the common people that get dragged into the middle of all of this. So the women in Egypt are trying to keep the households running, and the men are all dying in wars for people that they don't really care for. There's a lot of disruption inside of Egypt at this point, though. Until Philometor and Cleopatra sort of clear the air and calm everything down, they push the Seleucids out, and Philometor is going to make a sort of friendship arrangement with Rome to send them food. Egypt did have an abundance of food. They were one of the largest exporters of food in the ancient world. Rome needed more food because their population was growing like crazy. So the deal is, we're going to send you food. You keep us safe. You recognize me as the king. You got to keep everybody in line behind me. And at this point, things calm down. Stop doing that. Remember the last time that guy made friends? Yeah, pretty much. You can't ever really be friends with Rome. You always end up fighting them. So we're going to end up with these two people having children, of course. And when Philometor dies, Cleopatra II, his younger sister, is still around. And we get Ptolemy... Oh, I don't know why Ptolemy the Eighth, but his nickname is Phasikon. No. So for those of you that might be new to the channel, I have to admit something. I can't type and talk at the same time. I don't know what it is. I just can't do it. So I'll end up trying to stop things and start things and be in the middle of stuff. Yeah, so Cleopatra II has children. Physcon, who is Ptolemy VIII, and Cleopatra III. And guess what? They get married. Rome is the Veronica of ancient empires. Pretty much. Well done. Oh yeah, a total safe place. I know. I just, part of it is because I'm dyslexic and I have a very one-track mind when it comes to writing stuff. So Ptolemy the Eighth, Physcon. I'll show you his picture here, and then I'll tell you what his nickname is. So this is Physcon. Ptolemy the Eighth, Physcon. Physcon means, and I'm not joking here, fatty. He's Ptolemy the Fatty. Yup. Ptolemy the Fatty. Yes, it does. It means fatty. Is it the nostrils? His coin is rather round. I think it's the potentially ample jowls he's got going here. Yeah. Is it the nostrils? Maybe. These nicknames have gone downhill. Well, the country's gone downhill too. All right. I'm dying. I'm dead. I have died. I redact my war title. The true name should be Game of Numbers and Nicknames. Pretty much. So, Fatty takes over. Now they're just being petty. So, here's the thing. Fatty is going to end up marrying Cleopatra III. And this thing gets it's just so messy. By the time that this came along, there were so many troubles and issues within the factions of the royal family, and within the factions of the government, and within the factions of the military, that Fatty has a really hard time trying to deal with all of this stuff. And he basically starts killing people. He kills some of his own family members. He kills some of his own siblings. He kills some of the generals. He kills some of the priests. He's basically trying to kill anybody that has anything to do with the old rule. But here's the thing. Cleopatra II is still alive. I don't know why I deleted her. So Cleopatra II is still alive. And she still has potential heirs that Physcon kills. And so now we end up with a civil war between Physcon and Cleopatra II. I'm sorry, Physcon and Cleopatra III versus Cleopatra II. So this is getting really messy. And if it's making a hard time to try to keep up with all of this stuff, it's not even to the bad point yet. It's getting to the bad point. I feel bad we're enjoying just calling him Fatty. I'll call him Physcon if that makes you feel any better. Why is he killing everybody? He wanted to rule. He wanted to rule by himself. And there were all of these other people that were claiming the throne. And because everybody was basically inbred, everybody had an equal claim to the throne because their mom and their dad were both kings, but that meant that their mom and their dad were also passing down equal amounts of power to all of the kids who were, both their own nieces and their own brothers and sisters. Yeah, he just basically tried to kill everybody, and it didn't work so great. There is a big civil war between Cleopatra II and her supporters and Physcon and Cleopatra III. And even though Cleopatra II ends up losing and Physcon manages to take over, this civil war is what's basically going to be the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty. that they're losing territory outside. They're losing land to the Seleucids. They're losing land to the Romans. They're even losing part of their own land to their own people. He was just hungry for power. I see what you did there. So Physcon is going to die not too long after that. And when he dies, this sets off one of the most confusing strings of events that I could ever hope to try to explain to you on a stream. So what I have done is I have found a family tree for the rest of the Ptolemies. He died in a battle. He was trying to fight the Seleucids, and he died in a battle because Egypt was in such bad shape that they were losing to everybody at that point. I did not write a song. I could have tried to write a song, but it would have been so messy. So let me tell you this. I'm going to switch over to this image, and it's going to look absolutely bat crap crazy because it's a family tree that has just a bunch of dotted lines going to each other. I'm not going to go through every single one of the details. I'm going to hit some high points. This is going to be very, very brief. No, I don't always write songs. Sometimes I come up with stuff that's kind of on the spot stuff. I mean, I do play music and write songs, but that... So here we go. Settle in, and Cammy, this is the bad part. Okay. So here we go. So again, here we have Philometor, who married Cleopatra II. And when he died, Cleopatra married Physcon. And then Physcon married his niece, Cleopatra II. And this is Philometor, and this is Fatty. Right? So Cleopatra married Physcon. Cleopatra II got mad because they killed the other family members. And so that's what we just covered. Now, this stuff is even worse. So here's how this goes. We get Ptolemy IX, who is called Lathyrus. And he first marries Cleopatra IV. His mother, the third, is still alive. His mother, the third, is still trying to save Egypt. And because Egypt had just lost to the Seleucids, they need to make a deal. So Ptolemy IX, Lathyrus, is going to have one kid with Cleopatra IV, and then Cleopatra III is going to divorce her son and daughter and send Cleopatra IV off to marry the Seleucid emperor. Yep. So then she's going to make Lathyrus and Cleopatra Selene get married. And they have a daughter named Bernice. And you're like, wait, that should have been named Cleopatra. I know, but it's Bernice. But Lathyrus wants to rule by himself, and his mother's still alive. So Lathyrus gets exiled by his mother. And his mother divorces him and Selene and marries Selene to Ptolemy X, or Ptolemy Alexander. They have a son named Alexander II. And by the time Alexander I starts getting a little bit of age, his brother Lathyrus comes back from exile on the island of Cyprus and kicks Alexander off the throne. His mother had died at that point, so Lathyrus is going to rule again. At that point, he decides, well, I'm going to remarry my wife, Selene. Well, that's a bit messy because who is he going to leave the throne to? Well, he decides that he's going to leave the throne to his son Auletes, but Alexander II is still alive. So when Lathyrus dies, Alexander I is going to marry his niece, Bernice, to his son, but that's also his own ex-wife, and they're going to have a kid named Cleopatra V. And to solve the family trouble, they're going to marry Auletes to Cleopatra V, who were both first and second cousins, and more or less siblings. Yes, Cleopatra Selene married both of her brothers, the 9th and the 10th. And Ptolemy the 10th married both his sister and his niece. And so Auletes and Cleopatra V are going to have lots of children, including their ruling children, Ptolemy 13, the lover of their god the father, and Cleopatra the 8th, the lover of the god their father. This, by the way, is that Cleopatra. And if you're ever wondering why it seems like Egypt was in such bad shape by the time Cleopatra is ruling, that's just a taste of it. It's actually so much more complicated than even I just tried to explain to you. It's real messy. Lucky they had so many children. Yeah, it's actually worse than what I did, because there's a lot of like switching wives between, sometimes I'm married to my sister, but other times I'm married to my niece, and the family tree by that point had been inbred for 5 generations. Yeah, I'm telling you, Cami, it's pretty nasty. If you ever wonder why Egypt was so easily conquered by Rome when Egypt used to be this giant powerhouse of a nation, it's because they were fighting their problems inside their own bloodline. How did they define marriage? Oh, they had marriage ceremonies like before the gods, where they would do the whole marriage thing. And it's like brother over here, sister, wife, niece over here, do the marriage thing. You consecrate before the gods. This is like a twisted MTV dating show. Yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff, man. It gets pretty crazy. So there was a request to put this image in the Discord. Yeah, let me go ahead and throw that up there while I'm thinking about it. So by the end of this discussion, we are to the point inside of Egyptian world where the Cleopatra that everybody might recognize is on the throne, and that's actually where we're going to wrap it up today, because we are right at that time where we would normally be kind of wrapping up for the day. Weren't Isis and Osiris brother and sister? In a way, yes. But also in a way, no. Incest in the ancient world is not as frowned upon as it used to be, or as it is today. Anyway, that's a whole other world. I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
Jay Axer.
I'm Spartacus.
Thank you so much for that gift sub. Oh my goodness.
Spartacus.
We're just throwing the subs.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus. And Cammy, thank you so much for the sub. And Junk, welcome to the adventure. Proxy. So, Cammy, that was not what I was implying. I hope everybody knows that everyone is welcome. Everybody is absolutely welcome to just hang out here and do whatever you feel. I don't do this for money. I do this because I love history. And I feel like people would appreciate it more if they had somebody that they could talk to that did in fact.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Snarf. Snarf. Thanks, Tuna. Much appreciated, my friend. I greatly appreciate all of the support that you all are offering. But I will say again, for those of you that are just hanging out, please do not feel as if you owe me anything. I love everybody. I just want everybody to have a good time. and be able to hang out in a place that is fun, goofy, and not threatening at all, to talk about something that people don't really talk about that much, like history. So, but that does wrap me up for fun fact. You worked with the guy that did the voiceover for Snarf. That is amazing. That puts me like one internet degree away from Snarf. And that makes me feel super warm and fuzzy on the inside. Honk.
I'm Spartacus.
Oh, man.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
Honk, man.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
Guys.
I'm Spartacus. 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 I'm Spartacus.
I'm glad that this is actually running because
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
it's
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
it's kind of giving me a moment to process this.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
You shall have camels, horses, an armed escort, provisions, desert vehicles, and tanks.
You're welcome.
And tanks. Thank you, Steph. We should have one more.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
You all are far too generous. Thank you all. That is way.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
Whew.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're making me feel the feels. And
I'm
guys,
Spartacus.
stop, please.
I'm Spartacus. 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 I'm Spartacus.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Spartacus. I'm 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 Spartacus.
Good gracious.
I'm Spartacus. 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 I'm Spartacus.
Guys.
I'm Spartacus. 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 I'm Spartacus.
Turk. We've got 4 more of these, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
No, you didn't break the stream. You just you broke me. This is too much.
I'm Spartacus. 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 I'm Spartacus.
I am kind of leaking.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. Spartacus.
Come here. Oh, say hello to the people. Look right here. Hey. Hey, look right here. Look at all the nice people. Yeah. They are too nice. I know. Where are you going? You all. I don't know what to say. Thank you. That was too much. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. I have never been above 23 subs in the year or so that I've been streaming, and I now have 46. That is amazing. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you all's generosity. I get kind of weird when people do super nice stuff like that, and I really don't know. Dadgummit.
Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
Autumn.
I'm Spartacus. 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 I'm Spartacus.
Wow. Okay.
I'm Spartacus. 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 I'm Spartacus.
I feel almost like I need to just shut the stream down. You guys, thank you so much. Autumn, Hunk, Steph, Joey, Tuna, Cammy. I tell you what, it's so crazy right now that my activity feed inside of my Twitch stream manager is currently fuzzed out. Like it won't show me what's going on because there's just so much stuff going Love you guys. You guys are awesome. And I don't know what else to say. So I know that there was some stuff redeemed. I got the puppy. Somebody redeemed something earlier. What's the next history lesson? So I was actually planning on taking next week off because, you all don't. Sorry, I'm getting. Life's been real tough lately around the Shane house. Had a lot of trouble not trouble, but work has been rough. I've got a lot of health problems in my family. My dad is recovering and is okay, but had to have some pretty major surgery that kind of came out of nowhere. There's, of course, a pandemic going on that I have to go be out in the middle of when I go to work every day. And next week is spring break, so I was planning on taking the week off, but I might do something now just because. And we'll have maybe we'll have a special stream on Thursday or something. I don't know. Keep an eyeball on the Discord. We might just do a free for all chat. So maybe Thursday next week we'll just kind of hang. No, I don't even want to do. We'll see. I might just come on and we can talk about whatever you all want to, and just hang out for a little while. The goal was for me not to have to worry about preparing anything.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Anonymous, are you doing it so that I don't know who you are to chew you out? I would never chew you out. Thank you so much, Anonymous. Yeah. So, it probably was Spartacus. Yeah, we can make up the topics as we go. So, there was did somebody say that there was a what's in the news? I don't drink. I have a family history of substance abuse, and I know better than to try to get involved in that. Also, I do dumb enough stuff just sober, so I mean, adding crazy stuff to that would be probably not so wise. So we might have some tea. So yeah, I do like the tea. I'm in Mississippi, so 420 is illegal here. And because I'm in Mississippi, it's pretty illegal. Yeah, so we'll probably have some tea and we'll hang out, and I might have some cookies, and I'll tell you what I'll do. If I can get stuff in and approved, we might have a stream on Thursday where we do an emote reveal. If I can get some new emotes approved by then. You love Biloxi. Hey, I'm about an hour north from Biloxi. Are they made with real Girl Scouts? I love that line. One of my favorite lines in that movie. They're remaking that, and I don't know if it's going to be any good. So what's in the news? Well, it's been an eventful week in the news. It's been a very mixed week, and I'm gonna probably have to talk about Myanmar. I know that I've talked about Myanmar a little bit a few weeks ago when somebody redeemed what's in the news, but I'm gonna have to talk about it again, which is unfortunate. So for those of you that might be new to the stream, if you redeem what's in the news, I sort of talk about something happening in the world that is kind of at the top of my list of things to keep an eyeball on. And Myanmar right now is heading towards the bad part of a military takeover. Kenya, man, the stuff going on over in Kenya is pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, so what happened in November of last year was that Myanmar had some elections. The elections were, according to international and internal reviewers, fair. The military lost seats in the Myanmar government. Yes, the government has a constitutional mandate that the government has a certain number of seats, but they also have a political party that's aligned with the government, and that political party lost seats. So the military said that the elections were rigged. At that point, they exercised a clause inside of the Constitution of Myanmar and declared martial law. They abducted the prime minister figure, a lady named Aung San Suu Kyi, whose father was one of the founders of the modern country of Myanmar. And they have put her under arrest. She's been charged with a whole slew of trumped up garbage claims. They've touted her out a couple of times to read charges against her, mostly so that people in the world know that she's still alive. But in the last week, they have killed over 50 protesters. And earlier this week, it was announced that the military had started taking over hospitals. And this is particularly important for this situation because one of the leading voices against the military junta is a political action committee kind of group that is led by doctors and healthcare workers inside Myanmar. So kind of like a super PAC over here. But so they are taking over the hospitals, and anybody that comes into the hospital that has injuries that looks like they were potentially gained through protesting are being arrested. And the military also last week moved in to occupy the 3 largest universities in Myanmar. Of course, the universities are centers of protest. The young people in Myanmar are very tech savvy and have been using the internet to document a lot of this stuff. And beyond that, we learned on Wednesday that Myanmar's military was also revoking press rights. So they are shutting down the internet in certain locations, and they are cutting off international and national press junkets. So this is pretty messy stuff going on in Myanmar, and it is unfortunately significantly worse than the last time I talked about it. They're not even caring about vaccinations right now, Ethan. They're just taking over the country. Yeah, it's pretty messy. President Biden is speaking about this. He has issued some sanctions against some of the military leaders. The issue with putting out broad sanctions against the country in general is that the average person inside Myanmar is hovering right around the edge of not being able to make it anyway. So if the economic sanctions start hurting the country economically, it's going to push a whole bunch of regular everyday people in Myanmar into poverty zones, and not just like poverty, but like threatened poverty where they won't be able to have enough food. So it's not really going to hurt the military that much. It's going to end up having negative repercussions against the people. So this has to be handled pretty lightly. The big problem is that China is in the middle of all of this, and China is, as you might expect, supporting the military. So it's messy. It's very, very messy. Yeah, it's pretty... The story of everything will be okay, girl, is so sad. Yeah, it's pretty messy. Of course China is. Of course China is. Well, I mean, the whole thing is super complicated, and it's not something that even just sending in the military would fix. We've got to. There's no easy way to fix this. Either way you play it, people are likely going to die. So it's not a decision to be made lightly, and I don't know how much. China also pushed out a whole bunch of package stuff today on making Hong Kong elections more fair, which is of course key for basically making it where people in Hong Kong can't vote for anybody that they want to. So messy. Wasn't Myanmar a major part of freeing the East from control of China? So under the Obama administration, Myanmar was part of a large trade deal that the president was working on, or President Obama was working on, called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was basically designed at conglomerating a whole bunch of Asian countries to work with the United States in an effort to kind of balance out China. And when President Trump removed the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that whole thing kind of broke apart, and China sort of moved into the driver's seat of Asian trade partnerships. And there's kind of an alliance against them between Korea and Japan, and to a certain extent Taiwan, but Taiwan can't necessarily act independently very much because of China. And the markets in Korea and Japan aren't as close as they need to be able to put legitimate concerns and pressure on China. So how do we export the American dream? Ethan, I would ask you, what is the American dream? And before we get so far off into the deep end of that, I would really encourage being careful about the definition of the American dream, because it's different for a lot of people, and there's no such thing as the singular American dream. There is the stereotypical American dream, but even that isn't real. It is unacceptable. The world is better, and it should be better, but we don't need to have military takeovers in 2021. But it's a messy world that we live in. What it meant and what it means now is different, so it's hard to define. Indeed. Rank 3 things my favorite cheeses. Oh man, that's a good one. Am I eating the cheeses alone, or am I eating the cheeses on a sandwich? And this is an important thing. Is it plain cheese? Like, is it just eating the cheese alone, or do I have to mix it with something? Do I have a cracker? Do I have some ham? Who eats? I'm talking about, like, not. I'm not sitting in a room cold corner just like eating cheese. Like, oh, please, thank you for the cheese. Please, sir, may I have another? I was alone. I was all by myself. Eating the cheese by itself. Okay. If I was eating the cheese without any other sort of food product, cheese for the sake of cheese. Let's see. My favorite, hands down, has got to be the really, really fresh, preferably straight out of the saltwater barrel mozzarella. Like the hand pulled and twisted little glob of mozzarella. Oh my gosh. I love that stuff. And the fresher, the better. If it's still a little bit warm and still has that kind of salty water stuff on it, yes, please. There's not really a brand of that. You just have to go to Italy and get somebody making it on the side of the street. My mouth is watering right now. That is one of the best travel foods. You just like grab a hunk of cheese and go for it. Oh yeah. So straight up fresh mozzarella has got to be number one. I really like a sharp cheddar. I don't like the mild cheddar by itself so much. If I'm eating mild cheddar with something like a Ritz cracker or something else, that's okay. But if I'm eating it by itself, I want a sharp cheddar, like a really sharp cheddar that's got that nose to it, like where you bite it and smell it at the same time, and it's just like kind of punching you in the face with its cheddarness. I can get down behind that. That's probably number 2. And oh man, what's number 3? This is like, now I'm having to choose between my children. Like if I'm just eating the cheese off the block. Okay, so this is going to be kind of heathen. And this is not going to be nearly as high or refined as the other 2 options here. But I really like a pepper jack. If I can get a pepper jack that has actually spicy peppers in it, like a habanero pepper jack, or an actual spicy jalapeno pepper jack, now I can eat that stuff for days. No, not easy cheese. Now, I don't even know if easy cheese is really cheese or if it's hydrogenated cheese product. There's actually a pretty big lawsuit that happened back in the day about whether or not easy cheese could spell itself cheese, because if it was distributing itself as cheese, it had to fall under FDA cheese standards, which is why they changed it to CHEEZ. Yeah. If you all liked that, there is actually a viewer request episode back in the viewer request episode log where we did history of cheese. So we did a whole show just talking about cheese. Herb crusted mozzarella. Oh yes, I love me some mozzarella. And now if you leave the mozzarella with the herb crust on it long enough so that the herb gets down into the mozzarella, oh yeah. I like that better than I like just the kind of crusty stuff, because you get the full mix of the spices there. Good times. What about Cheese Whiz? Hey, there's nothing wrong with Cheese Whiz. Cheese Whiz on a Philly cheesesteak? Excellent. You grew up on government cheese? Government cheese is fine. I actually like government cheese. It's not the best thing in the world, but hey, government cheese, good stuff. I'm going to need to eat some pizza right now. I had pizza before we got on stream. All right, ladies and gents. I do have a little bit of show and tell. For those of you that know me, you know that occasionally when stuff happens and I get a little bit of a break, which I got a little bit earlier. Let me do something real quick. Make sure that I have this spelled the right way. There is a streamer here, a friend of the channel, very, very wonderful human being, such a great soul, has an amazing chat, great streamer, streams in the mornings, usually in the mornings, but also sometimes at night, doing video gaming. Kay Nyman, she is a gem, and that's a bit of a pun, because anyway, you'd have to go hang out on her channel. That would be much more evident if you've ever hung out on her channel before. So my wife and I just recently passed our 15-year dating anniversary. So we have officially been a couple now for 15 years. And because last year was pretty rough and we didn't really do very much, we're getting ourselves back together. We're back on track. I got a very much appreciated Twitch check-in, and we allowed ourselves a little bit of an expenditure. So we bought ourselves a little bit of a happy, and we got some of Kay's art. And Kay is a delightful artist, and we bought these beautiful little mixed media pictures of Link from Breath of the Wild. So this is done with pen and ink, and then filled in with markers and a little bit of watercolor. Absolutely beautiful stuff. So Link with a chicken. I love that one. This one was mine. I love the chicken stuff. This one is my wife's. Link with his little fire pot and cooking stuff. So there you go. Go check out Kay. She does beautiful stuff like this on her stream all the time. She does have an art store. If you go to, well, here, let me just go pick up the link here. Here is her website. You can go check out her store. She has a lot more stuff. She participates in Linktober and does pictures of Link and stuff Zelda related. Has a lot of that stuff in her store. Has other original artwork stuff in her store. Very reasonably priced for the amount of skill that's in them. I think that she is massively underpricing herself. So go give her some love. Go give her some follows on Twitch. Kay is so great. And I say that because I really do thank everybody for being here. Like the support that you all give to me is something that I absolutely want to turn back around into you all. If you have, so let's do this before we head out. If you are anybody that does anything that has any sort of other links, blow up chat. Just put your stuff in chat. If you have Instagrams, or if you have websites that you want people to follow, or if you have Twitters or whatever, do your thing. Go forth and drop all of your fun stuff. There we go. Art Condition Podcast. Moose and Joby Dore run a podcast. Great stuff. Oh, Kelly's going to stream this Saturday. There we go. Let me give the shout out to Kelly. Go follow Kelly. Good stuff. Autumn's got the link tree. Technically, they're cuckoos. I know. There's Cassidy's website. Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Buy me coffee. Good stuff. Everybody make sure that you actually go and hang out on these people's stuff. And go give some love to these people. You can tell that they're awesome and generous people, not just because they're hanging out with me, but because you literally just saw their friggin' awesomeness. Steph's getting back into art. Awesome. Do it. Go give the follows. All of the follows. You all are amazing. I am part of a great group of people, and you all are super friggin' cool. And I am honored that you spend your time and now your money with me. Imposter syndrome for the win, right? So, okie dokie. Let's go see who we might be able to raid. And we can continue to share the love. I need to start keeping a list of where we have raided, because I want to make sure that we are spreading that equitably. Well, you know, I really do love history, and I hate the fact that it has such a bad rep, and I don't like that. And if I can change that in people's minds, that would make me super happy. So you all are amazing. So who shall we raid? I know I raided Cryo recently. Who should we go raid? This is super enjoyable, and you're going to send people here. Cammy, that means that means more to me than maybe anything else that anybody could have done. The fact that you had such a good enough time that you wanted to come back and not only do that, but bring people here. That's awesome. Comforted Adam. We haven't raided Comforted Adam in a while. Yeah, let's go raid Comforted Adam. Yeah, Don Lee and Cave. I haven't raided Comforted Adam in so long, though. I am going to start a register. I'm officially starting a register right now. So on 311, we raided Comforted Adam. I really do want to make sure that I'm getting everything around. So for those of you that do not know, Comfort and Adam are a husband and wife art duo. They have several comic creations. They are excellent people. They are really great at answering questions to help people that have art-related stuff. If you all would be so kind, please give them some love. If you are part of our group now and you... no, but there are a lot more of you now. We do a battle cry. We run in and yell adventure. And we throw as many of our adventure hat emotes into the chat as possible. So we're going to go do the raid. I'm running out of time. Thank you all so very much. I love you all, and I hope to see you back next week. Until then, see you around.